Imagine somebody killing somebody from the Sahaba. You know, he killed Abdullah bin Zubair. He killed one of the greatest scholars that ever lived, Sa'id bin Jubair. You know, he was responsible for the killing of Abdullah bin Umar. You know, because Abdullah bin Umar, he was a person that, you know, he was a person that would say the truth no matter who it was. So he said to Hajjaj that verily you are a wrongdoer, you are a fasiq. Okay, so what Hajjaj did was that while he was doing Umrah, he took a spear, he got someone, he paid someone, and while he was doing Umrah, he got someone to spear Abdullah bin Umar through his leg, and this is what led to his death. So basically, you know, it was a very tyrannical rulership. And because of that, knowledge itself went down quite a lot. And in this atmosphere, when Abu Hanifah, he grew up himself, because since his father passed away at a very early age, he didn't have the culture where he was to learn knowledge. And if you look at him and compare him to the other great scholars, like for example, you know, if you compare him to like Ibn Taymiyyah, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, who from a very early age, you know, their parents were at them saying, look, this is what you need to do, this is the guidance, this is what you need to do, you need to learn this, you need to learn that, you need to go to this scholar, you need to learn other before you learn ilm. He didn't have any of this. Okay? So all he had was his basic Islamic education, which is quite a lot, because in Kufa was one of the main fountainheads of Islam. But basically, after his father passed away when he was very early, he began to devote himself to business. Okay, and he took over his father's business, which is the business of clothes. And I will now narrate to you what was the thing that was inspired him to gain knowledge. And this is roughly when he was about 20. Okay, when he was about 20, a scholar named Imam Ash-Sha'bi. Okay, and Sha'bi, he is also one of the renowned scholars of Islam. And just to give you Imam Sha'bi's status, that one of the other scholars, whose name is Muhammad bin Sirin, he says that when I came to Kufa, okay, Imam Sha'bi was giving circles, and at that time there were many amongst the Sahaba who were still alive. Do you understand? So there were many people who had seen Prophet ﷺ themselves alive, and this man, he's giving circles that a lot of people are coming to. So he became a fountainhead of knowledge, even when there were lots of Sahabi around. And he says, Abu Hanifah, he says that once I was passing by a place, and Imam Sha'bi, he stopped him and he said that, you know, where are you going? You know, where are you going? I.e., you know, yeah, where are you going? And Imam Abu Hanifah at this time, who was a young 20-year-old man, you know, a businessman, he said that, you know, I'm going to the marketplace to do my business. And then Imam Sha'bi, he said, no, I don't mean that. I mean, which scholar do you attend? Which scholar do you go? And then he said to him, why? Then he said to him, فَإِنِّي أَرَى فِيكَ يَقْظَةً وَحَرَكَةً. Because I see in you that you have a keen, attentive mind, and you are someone who is active. So this is what Imam Sha'bi, he saw this just by looking at him. And he said about the scholars, about the pious scholars, right, the early scholars especially, that they would see with the light of Allah. You know, it wasn't that they would see, you know, they would look at a person and they would see that this guy is someone who did sins a lot. They look at this guy and they would see the nur in his face, that this is someone who worships Allah a lot. And something like that, right? He saw in Abu Hanifah at this very young age that this man, he had something. And Abu Hanifah said, no, I don't go to see any scholar, you know, I'm not a student of anybody, you know, or I was going to the market because I'm a businessman. Okay? And then Imam Sha'bi basically just said what I just told you, and then they depart, and then they split company. And Abu Hanifah, he says about this incident that inspired him to start gaining knowledge, he says that فَوَقْعَ فِي قَلْبِي مِنْ قَوْلِهِ وَتَرَكْتُ لِإِخْتِلَافِ فِي الْأَصْوَاقِ وَأَخَذْتُ فِي الْعِلْمِ فَنَفَعَنِي اللَّهُ بِهِ. Which means that after he said this statement, that, you know, I see in you a keen attentive mind, and I see that you're an active person, he said that it is as if something, you know, affected my heart. Okay, something from his saying, it affected my heart. So I stopped frequently visiting the marketplaces, and I started to devote myself to knowledge. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he benefited me by this man, Imam Sha'bi. And just something else I missed that's important as well. Obviously he was called Abu Hanifa, and that was that's what he's famous by. But he did, usually when you say Abu Hanifa, you're saying father of Hanifa. Okay, but he had no child called Hanifa. It was just a kunya that he had, and it's taken from the verse in the Quran. What tabi' millata Ibrahim Hanifa, that follow the way of Ibrahim, who followed it upon a righteous manner. And a few other statements about his family before we carry on about his early life that are important is that he was obviously Persian. He was not from the Arab, and this is also very significant because a lot of the great scholars, in fact the majority of the scholars at that time, they were not Arab. Okay, they were from either they were mostly freed slaves or from people entering the Deen. They weren't Arabs as such. Okay, and he was obviously, his family was never a slave, and there's a long statement by his son Ismail saying this, but inshallah I won't go through this now. And his father Thabit was a righteous man, and his father, Abu Hanifa's grandfather, was someone who had good relations with Ali radiallahu anhu. And it is said that his father Thabit, he once went to Ali radiallahu anhu and said to him, look, pray for me and for my family. And Ali radiallahu anhu prayed for him and his family. And it is said that it's from this prayer that Ali radiallahu anhu did, that they had someone like Abu Hanifa, who the scholars have described, Imam Dhahabi described him as clearly one of the most intelligent people of the son of Adam. After the incident with Imam Sha'bi, Abu Hanifa, at that time, he initially thought to devote himself to fiqh, but for some reason that's not quite clear, he began to specialize in Ahlul Kalam. And people of Kalam were generally those people, who were good at debating. Okay, and their debates were basically how to defend the religion, how to defend Islam, because in those times many sects began to arise. Okay, many types of weird ideas began to arise. So what these people used to do, they used to specialize in how to defend the Muslims, how to defend people from these type of thoughts. Okay, and he says that he started to do this. He became so proficient in this that whenever there was any type of problem like this, whenever there's any type of funny idea, he would go and debate with the guy until such that people began to fear him in his debate. He was very intelligent in the way he used to debate. And he said that most of the people of Kalam were in Basra, and he said that I went to Basra more than 20 times. Okay, and sometimes I would stay there a year, sometimes I would stay more than that, just so I could debate with these people. And it was as if that whoever he debated with, he would win. But eventually he saw that the people of Kalam, they had certain problems. Okay, the first thing he saw was that the Sahaba, this was not their way. Okay, the way of the Sahaba was that they would devote themselves to the practicalities of Islam, i.e. fiqh. Okay, people would come for them for fatwas, and they would give fatwas. It wasn't this thing about debating. Okay, this was the first thing that made him leave the debating. Okay, second thing he realized was that people of debate generally, right, they had hard hearts, they had bad character, they had rough tongues, and the problem with debating is that if you debate a lot, right, and if you see this character generally, people who debate a lot, right, it eventually starts affecting their heart. Okay, because you want to win. Okay, debate somebody, you want to win, and it starts getting personal. Okay, and these people, he saw that these people, a lot of them had this type of characteristics. While the people of fiqh, for example, they were different. Their character was better. They had, they weren't known to abuse. They were people who were devoted to worship, and which is close to the actions of the Sahaba. And the third thing that was the tip of the iceberg, as they say, was that once a woman came to him and said to him that asked him a certain matter about divorce. And he didn't know. He didn't like try to bluff. He didn't try to fob her off. But he asked her something about divorce, and he didn't know. And in his vicinity, there was a person called Hamad, who is a known faqih, recognized faqih, scholar of fiqh. So he said to her, look, go to Hamad, ask him the question, and whatever he tells you the answer, tell me as well, so that I may learn from this as well. Okay, so he didn't doubt that Hammad knew the answer, but he knew that he didn't know the answer. So she went to Hammad, asked him the question, and Hammad gave the answer and came back to